Are you looking to finish beginning Greek before you start seminary? Or perhaps you're looking to refresh your Greek without having to go through the whole time-consuming process of going through the whole beginning Greek thing over 1 or 2 semesters? Well, if that's you, then this is going to be, hopefully, a helpful video. Hi, I'm Daryl Burling from Biblical Mastery Academy, here to help you with the tools, habits, and systems to help you to master the Greek of the New Testament one small bite-sized step at a time. When I went to seminary, I had learned Greek before I actually started my master's degree. Now, for the most part, the seminary that I went to at least expects that you have done that. But I had a friend who had not learned Greek. In fact, I had several friends who learned no Greek in their undergraduate degree or didn't have an undergraduate degree, in which case they came to a seminary that expected them to have Greek and they didn't have it. So what happens? Well, in most seminaries like that, they're going to offer you a summer beginning Greek course, if you like, that's going to bring you up to speed in an incredibly compressed time frame. And so for my friends, they ended up doing beginning Greek in just 3 weeks, I think it was. It was called Gladiator Greek, and it was aptly named. It was an crazy amount of time to try and get the basics of Greek down in. And the problem with all of this, of course, is that because you don't get the basics very well down, you end up lacking confidence when you come to those more complex tasks, and you end up feeling like your entire Greek experience is just overwhelming and difficult, and you're unequipped for this, and you feel like you suck. And whenever you feel like you suck at something, you just don't have the confidence to actually keep going with it. You would say, why would I keep doing that when I suck at it? But the problem is not necessarily the language or even your grasp of it. It's often the fact that you've been trying to put too much through in too short a time. There's a lot to learn, and it's not that easy to pick it all up. Now, of course, the seminaries will also give you the option of learning Greek over a couple of semesters. The problem with that is you're going to use 2 electives, at least in this case, to actually go through beginning Greek, which means in a course where you've only got 4 electives anyway, which is what ours had, you're really down to just 2 electives, which isn't very good. Alternatively, if you've got more electives than that, or even if Greek isn't something that you have to take an elective for, you can actually give yourself more electives by completing beginning Greek before you start seminary. And so it's well worth considering doing that if you're thinking of starting seminary. Now, we are about 12 weeks out from the next semester, and so now is a great time to be thinking about how do I learn Greek to get into seminary and get through it before the full semester begins. Or perhaps you are going through and starting a doctoral program or a THM or something like that and need to brush up your Greek before the semester starts. So if that's you and you've learned Greek before, there's a good chance you really don't want to go through that whole long protracted process to learn Greek again. So what are the options available to you? Well, my proposal is to take Greek at a decent pace, but not so fast that it's going to be overwhelming, and probably you're going to have to think about it a little differently as you do this. So now is a great time to consider learning Greek for the next semester. That gives you about 10 weeks, maybe 12 if you push it a little bit before the semester starts, which is a great time frame to get through the basics of Greek without overwhelming yourself and making it too hard to actually do. So what if you were able to complete Greek in about 10 weeks? This is a great way to refresh your Greek. It gets it done in less than 3 months. And it's also a great way to learn Greek without hopefully being overwhelmed by all the concepts that there are to learn. If you're going to do this, this raises the question of how do you go about doing this? Now, it's actually much more challenging to think through this process of doing it in 10 weeks than you might think. Part of the problem here then is, what grammar do I use to do this? And I've actually reviewed most of the at least popular grammars that are on the market today, and I can tell you that pretty much all of them are actually designed for a full semester or even 2 semesters of Greek. Most of them have around 24 chapters, which is 24 lessons, which maps to roughly the number of lessons you get to do over a 2-semester period, accounting for the fact you're going to have some break weeks where you're going to do some exams and final exams and things like that. And so trying to shoehorn those grammars into 10 weeks is actually quite challenging. You're going to end up having those 24 chapters, squeezing them into maybe 12 weeks. That would be 2 chapters a week. It's a pretty hefty pace to sort of go at. So 24 chapters, if you've got a grammar that has about 24 chapters, you can do 2 chapters a week, and that's pretty good. But what if you're doing something like Mounce's Basics of Biblical Greek, which has got 36 chapters? Well, that makes it a little bit more challenging, and it's not very straightforward to then take these chapters and either compress them over a 2 to 3 day period or stretch them so that they take more than one sort of opportunity to sit down. And on top of that, you're going to find that you're going to be spending a lot of time actually in those grammars doing that work. You're going to be almost full-time working through the material because of the number of exercises and so on that they give you. So most grammars are not designed for self-study, they're really designed for the classroom. There is one exception to this in a sense, which is SM Bohr's grammar, which is really designed for a 5-week approach. So again, this is a pretty decent grammar in terms of its approach to trying to get through Greek in a big hurry. However, 5 weeks is probably too short in my opinion, and this grammar is lacking in some important detail you're really going to need, particularly if you've never learned Greek before. That makes a lot of assumptions which are going to require a professor to be there teaching you these things that you don't already get to learn. And this grammar, like the others, is going to require you to work pretty much full time, and on top of that, it doesn't have an answer key, or if you're working on your own, no way to get help so that you can actually work your way through it on your own. Which actually raises another point, because if you're not doing this in seminary, where are you going to get the instruction from? It's one thing to work through a grammar and just work through the exercises, but that's pretty dull in a lot of ways. And it would be much better if you had a professor available, someone to talk to, and maybe some videos even that explained and sort of helped you to understand the material in a different way so that you're not just reading the whole time. Having some videos would be helpful. Having a path that's written out, that's planned for you would be really helpful as well. And then as you go, you're going to get to these times where you're going to feel kind of overwhelmed. So it'd be kind of nice to have a review break, if you like, where you can actually go back over the things you've already learned, maybe do some new exercises that don't introduce new material, but only take you through what you've already learned. And like I've said, most grammars are pretty rigid in their approach, so this approach is not going to be easy with most of the grammars that are out there today. Now, as you know, and if you've been watching this channel for some time, you're probably waiting for this moment. I've been working on writing a beginning Greek grammar for the last 6-9 months now, pretty much. It's almost done, actually. We are at the finishing touches of it, and we're also going through and just fine-tuning things as students are going through it as well, which has been really exciting. It's called Beginning Greek in Small Steps, and it's really focused on allowing you to go through beginning Greek in small, consistent steps, because that's the whole approach, right? If you just take small steps every day, and this grammar is designed for you to have something small to work on every day, then this is the way to actually go from 0 to mastery. If you do a little bit every day, you're going to get somewhere. And so Beginning Greek in Small Steps is really broken up into 20 modules. Each module has 3 lessons in it, which gives you about 60 lessons in total. Each module is designed around a key area, and each of those lessons, 3 lessons per module, then breaks that into smaller chunks so that you can actually go through it, learn a section of it, do some exercises related to it, and then move on to the next lesson. Now, it just so happens that 60 lessons breaks nicely into 10 weeks if you do a lesson a day for 6 days a week. And on top of that, we also have review lessons, which you can do once every 2 weeks on that 7th day to go back over what you've learned over the last 2 weeks. This is a pretty cool approach, I think, and I think this is going to be a helpful way to perhaps have a go at running through beginning Greek in about 10 weeks. Now, to be sure, there are no perfect grammars. Trust me, I've looked at them pretty much all, and the same is true of beginning Greek in small steps as well. It's not perfect. But I think the way that these lessons are broken down are going to be really helpful. And secondly, it's designed for people who are actually not in seminary right now. So you don't have a grade to achieve for it. You don't have exams to pass for it. It's really just focused on you and the learning. And I think those two things, small steps and also the fact that you don't have all of those things that's designed for you not being in seminary, is going to make this a lot easier than going through a grammar that is designed for a seminary environment. So here's what we're going to do. Starting next week, we're actually going to try this as a 10-week course. And we're going to do this first time we do this. We're aiming to actually do this twice a year. But what I'm hoping to do this first time is actually run it with a test group. And because of that, we're not going to charge quite the same price we will in the future, but we're going to keep the size of the cohort small as well. So we're going to be there with you every step of the way to help you get through beginning Greek in small steps over a 10-week period. And we're calling it the Beginning Greek Accelerator. It's going to accelerate you through beginning Greek in just 10 weeks. It's also going to run as a cohort, and that means that you're going to join the program and you will work with the other people who also join, and we will work with you over that period, provide you with a schedule that you know exactly what you need to do each day, and also we will be there on calls twice a week to meet with you, to answer any questions, and you'll have the ability to chat directly with us as instructors as well, so that you're able to ask any questions instantly and hopefully get pretty quick answers. And not only that, but the other people in the Beginning Greek Accelerator will be able to join you and answer those questions if they've figured it out for themselves. And because we are pretty much in three different parts of the world, our instructors, it pretty much means we're going to be online almost 24/7, which is going to be really helpful if you're working on something at 11 p.m. at night. You know that there's an instructor probably going to be online somewhere around the world who can answer your questions for you. So who is the Beginning Greek Accelerator designed for? Well, it's really designed, first of all, for people who have been through Beginning Greek before, who are wanting to refresh Greek before they get into, say, a doctoral program or a THM or something like that. But this is also the sort of program for somebody who's never learned Greek before, but who has some extra time, maybe 2 to 3 hours a day, that they can work on Beginning Greek over the summer period. And my recommendation here would be to spend an hour and a half to 2 hours in the morning, and then maybe a little bit of time during the day, and then maybe about a half an hour at the end of the day, just kind of looking through things. So it's quite possible to do something like this while you're holding down a job, just by getting up a little bit earlier every day, 6 days a week, except for that review day, which of course you could probably skip that if you wanted to, but I recommend it. Is probably going to be helpful for you. So in terms of what to expect, yes, 2 to 3 hours a day. Some people will do this faster, particularly if you've learned Greek before. Others might need a little extra time depending on what else you've got going on. So I really recommend that you make sure you've got the available time before you commit to a program like this. As part of the course, you're going to get all our videos explaining all the concepts. You'll get our written explanation as well. So basically, you'll be able to download our written grammar, and you'll be able to build that in Logos Bible software as your own personal grammar book, if you like, and we've got instructions on how to do that built into the course for you. It also includes, of course, a number of exercises, things you can do on a day-by-day basis, not only to learn the concepts of this current lesson, but also to review what you've already learned, and then to do some work with the actual Greek text so you can learn to read and translate the text for yourself. You'll also get vocabulary, and that's one of the things I'll come back to in just a moment. You'll get all the vocabulary to go through Beginning Greek as well, and those 2 support calls each week. So we're going to be on a live call twice a week. Just jump on the call, ask us any questions, we'll help you out. And of course, we're going to give you a weekly timetable so you know exactly what you need to do every day, and you'll have that direct access to us via chat as well inside the BMA app. We have our own app, and you'll be able to chat with us directly inside there, as well as watch the videos and read the material and all that kind of thing as well. So one of the questions that possibly is there if you're interested in this is, what will be most challenging? And there are really 3 things that I think you really want to think about before you go down this track. First of all, you want to make sure you've got time on a daily basis. You want to be able to clear some time to be able to spend on this every day. And like I said, 2 to 3 hours is what I think you're going to want to do to be able to really pick this up and run with it. Secondly, I think the vocabulary is going to be a pretty heavy load. You're going to be learning about 60 words per week. Now, if you've already learned Beginning Greek and you've done those words that occur 50 times or more, that's not likely to be a big issue for you, because you're reminding yourself of words you learned once and have forgotten, and hopefully some of those neural networks will just reconnect themselves as you refresh your knowledge of those vocabulary. But if you're learning from scratch, this could be quite a challenging aspect of the course. I know many members doing 30 words a week, which is what we normally recommend, or even 30 words every 2 weeks as we go through it in our membership, can be quite challenging for people. So just bear in mind that vocabulary may be a bit of a challenge. And of course, then there's going to be some unevenness in the lessons. For instance, week 1, where we're dealing with pronunciation and we're dealing with the basics of the Greek sentences, is probably going to be pretty easy. But week 5, where we're going through the third declension and some other things, passive verbs, for instance, and verb morphology in the present and in the aorist passive forms, well, that's going to be a little bit more challenging. So just be aware that some weeks are going to require a little more of you, others are going to be much lighter, and those would be the 2 extremes that I would expect. Week 1 and week 5 would probably be the 2 extremes. Like I said, we're looking to do this with a group of around about 10 people, so it's not a huge number of opportunities available. If you are interested and you've thought through all of this well and you reckon this is ideal for where I'm at, then we would love to give you the opportunity to join us for this first run at. Like I said, this is a lower priced offer than we're going to do in the future. Later on, as we fine tune this, we're going to have a higher price. But this time round is the best time to get it for a lower price. And we're going to do this twice a year, but next time we do this, probably in October, will be a slightly higher price. And so if you are interested in this, be aware that this is going to save you some time in seminary. It's going to save you some money in seminary as well. If you're interested, go along to bma.to/accelerator and click away to join up the program. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@biblicalmastery.academy. If you've done Greek before at a high speed, leave a comment below. Let us know what it was like. Everybody's going to be interested to know how you did it. How fast was it? Did you retain it? What would you do differently next time? I'd love to hear that. Leave a message down below. I look forward to hearing from you there. Thanks again for watching. I look forward to seeing you and serving you in the future. In the meantime, keep taking small, consistent steps toward mastery. We'll see you there.